Hey Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on CapnclydesMTG. It's review time because, well, there ain't shit going on out there. Anyway, let's look at some of the most impactful cards in Magic of 2024. And undoubtedly probably some of the best that we got from that year. So, without further ado, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Links are in the description. eBay, TCG Player Store, Patreon. Become a member on YouTube. All that good jazz. Hit us up in the Discord. Swing by Twitch. Let's game together. Hell, let's do the geek thing. And at the same time, you can tell us it was rehearsed. Try to save a little money. So, without further ado, let's look at some of the, I would probably say, 10 most impactful cards of 2024, which means they probably are definitely some of the best. So we're going to start off with our first card, Three Tree City. Typical payoff. It is Gaia's Cradle. So, card's good, I hear. Check it out sometime. But with this one, you know, it enters, you can choose a creature type. It does tap for colorless mana. It comes into play untapped, which is already a bonus. For 2 and tap, you get to choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to the number of creatures you control of that type. Gaia's Cradle is not legal in Modern. However, with this, it currently is. So, yes, it takes 2 mana to activate, but if you've ever played Elves, 2 mana is nothing. Insanely good land. Thank God it's legendary. If this wasn't legendary, Lord help us. Now, this has not seen a whole lot of play inside of Standard. However, Commander, a couple Modern decks, there has seen a lot of activity for this card. And let's not forget, not only is this card a pseudo Gaia's Cradle, fixed Gaia's Cradle, I've heard it called many things. This card also mirrors Mishra's Workshop, where in Bloomburrow, in the collector boxes, there is a card art for every season, which, in my opinion, is about damn time they brought back. It was probably the coolest, most funnest thing about this card and about me opening Bloomburrow. I prayed and hoped every pack to get a 3-tree city of a certain season or any season. It was just so cool. And I know we talked about having extra reprints and whatever, but that harkened back to the, you know, summer, autumn, fall, Christmas style Mishra's Workshops, factories, whatever you want to call them, was just so cool and really done right with this card. Now, another card that's seen a little bit of popularity is the Vein Ripper. The Bane of Pioneer, as you know, this thing came on the scene hot like fire. Not very popular when it first came out in Markov Manor because, as you know, that set apparently was a shit show. Upon release, all the card prices just plummeted, just like going skydiving without a parachute kind of plummet. But once someone figured out that this Vampire Assassin can be put into play from your hand using Sarkhan, the 3-mana Planeswalker, this thing got good so fast and so expensive. And if you were watching, it dominated that Pioneer season of the Pro Tour. And because of it, bans were made. So I'd say that's pretty damn impactful. And to be fair, this card hasn't got any cheaper since the bans because now everybody just realizes how busted this thing really is. The next card on our list here, for all the spell slingers out there, that's right, it's Slick Shot the Pimp. Pimp named Slick Shot, as I like to call him. The 1/2 Flying Haster. Monastery Swift Spirit, we know, is one of the best red creatures known to man. This is Swift Spirit with wings, and it gets bigger. The only drawback to it is cost 2 mana, luckily only 1 red, which is not a deal breaker. However, the fact that it doesn't pump the defense means it can be killed easily no matter how many spells you sling at your opponent, unlike Swift Spear, which grows exponentially. However, that has not stopped this little fella here. from pimp slapping the entire format of Modern and Standard repeatedly over the year, and will probably do so into the next year, because this thing is just a house. And there are so many ways to make this big, along with making its butt big. So, yeah, this is here to stay. This and old Monastery Swiss Spear are going to be the two cousins that's going to be raining on your parade if you ever see a mountain hit the table. Next here we have the Heartfire Hero. Nothing like a little mouse power. Disney in the house to rock your world, if you will. 1 red, 1/1. Unfortunately does not have haste, but it has something better. It has Valiant, which is like heroic steroids, I guess you could say. So luckily it only gets +1/+1 counter once each turn, but this one, when it dies, also zaps the opponent. So you don't have to feel bad about investing your spells into this to get 2 or 3 damage across and make him a 3/3 or whatever, because if they bolt him, they also bolt themselves. Plus, he's already dealt 3 damage to them. He is payoff beyond belief. Plus, the best thing about Valiant, it doesn't have to be a spell. It can also be an ability. Like, you literally can just give it +1/+0 with the land in red, and voila, +1/+1 counter applied. So, it is crazy how powerful this mouse is. And again, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So, also on that note, the Oscillate Pride from Modern Horizons amazingly has, out of nowhere, become the shining star of Modern Horizons 3. Just the ability of a 1/1 lifelinker with First Strike, which you may think doesn't matter, but trust me, it does. In those life gain decks where gaining life triggers tons of abilities. Also the fact that, well, beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, you get a 1/1 white cat creature token. I mean, what's better than a 1/1 white First Strike and lifelinker than one that spits out tokens for free by just swinging with it? And of course, if you have the City's Blessing, for each token you control that enter the battlefield this turn, you get a copy, so now it's spitting out 2. It has found many a place inside of Soul Sisters, for one, which, if you've never played against that or think it's a meme deck, it's getting quite serious with this in there, because notice this isn't legendary. And just in general, in Modern, this card is just an insane powerhouse that gets out of control so quickly. I mean, if this was in Standard, it'd be a $200 card and everybody would be playing white. I'm just stating the obvious. This thing is a powerhouse and definitely one of the best cards to come out of 2024. I mean, for the love of God, people putting a 1 white 1/1 First Striking lifelinker in Commander decks. Like, in a Commander deck, this thing. Anyway, moving on. Next, we have the Surveil lands, the staple one-ofs. Now, everybody thought these, when they first came out, were kind of bad. Once somebody played one, inside of a Modern deck, and then when I'm going to fetch, get a mountain at the end of your turn. This comes into play tap, doesn't really matter, it's the end of your turn. I'm going to Surveil, stack the top of my deck. Everybody went, holy shit, is that good? Yeah, so every Modern deck plays at least 1 or 2 Surveil lands. Commander decks now have one of every Surveil land that they can have in them. They're dual lands, they're mountain plains, they're everything about them is amazing. The surveil ability is astounding, and this is probably the best lands to come out of 2024, even better than 3 Tree City. Next, we have the old Unholy Annex and the Ritual Chamber. That's right, card draw and burn. Who wouldn't like it? This, again, became very popular during the Pro Tour as people realized for 3 mana, drawing a card, losing 2 life can suck. But once you get a demon on the battlefield and you start gaining 2 life and your opponent loses it while you draw a card, is quite punishing, especially when that demon you have is a 6/6 flying. Very powerful card, seeing lots of play, and don't think that's changing anytime soon until some other cards come out that can, how do you say, deal with this problem. Another great card coming out of 2024 is this giant floating eyeball. That's right, we talked about this in several previews, and I warned about it and warned about how good this card's going to be. And it's finally come to fruition as this thing's topping $50 a pop because a 3-mana 5/5 is amazing. Oh, but it takes removing 6 cards from your graveyard or you can't cast it. The last time I saw one of these hit the battlefield, it wasn't cast. And if someone's casting this on you, you're already in shit shape. So, yeah. The fact it's a 5/5 puts a 2/2 in play every upkeep, your opponent's and yours, makes it a great card for Commander. Hell, Standard, some Modern decks. This thing's just nuts. Like, it's so hard to deal with. Plus, 5 defense. How are you killing this with direct damage? You're just not. Like, holy cow. And you have to kill it before your upkeep, because once it starts spawning 2/2, shit gets real. Because all it takes is this thing to spawn itself from the top of the opponent's deck. And you like, oh, you can have the 2/2, I'll kill the Oculus. And then they're like, cool, end of your turn, I'll flip over my Oculus. And you're like, son of a... Yeah, it's a snowball downhill effect, if you will. And been killed by this thing way too many times. So, moving on. How could you not talk about the Psychic Frog? I mean, to the point where it started to see questionable banning comments, we'll say. It hasn't been banned yet that I'm aware of. However, this thing has a blue-black 1/2 that can let you discard cards as you will to put counters on it so it can't be killed, exile cards so it can fly, and then if you manage to get it across against a player or a planeswalker, you get to just draw a card. Insanely good. Insanely good. And the discard ability with the Reanimator decks, like, so much going on here that I'm not sure this thing should actually be legal. It's something. But, I mean, then again, we have Ragavan, so fuck it, let's have the Frog too. Why not? So, and then we'll wrap it up with the best of 2024. And it pains me to say this, but Nadu Winged Wisdom was the best card in 2024. And here's why. Not only is it a 3-mana 3/4 that has an amazing combo ability that made it unstoppable in Pioneer, made it a miserable experience in Commander. The card was so good, it was banned in almost every format. If that doesn't tell you how powerful a card is, then I don't know how you're measuring card power. When people hate it so much that they either play it or ask to ban it, or both play it because it needs banned, I don't know how to say this is just not the most powerful, busted, best card out of 2024. And there should probably be a case study on how not to make a card like this moving forward. So, yeah. Well, there you have it, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, be kind, and as always, I hope to see you crossing the game table. And thank God you're not playing this monstrosity.